Blue. A steak cooked blue is as close to raw as you can get while still calling it cooked. The surface gets a quick sear, just enough to develop some color and crust, but the inside stays almost completely uncooked. The center is cold or barely warm, deep red, and very soft to the touch. It's the preferred choice of people who want to taste the meat in its most natural state, where the texture is almost silky and the beefy flavor is completely unaltered by heat. Not many restaurants promote it, and some chefs are reluctant to serve it, but for those who know what they're asking for, it's a deliberate and specific choice. Rare. Moving one step forward, a rare steak has a fully seared exterior but a center that remains mostly red and cool to slightly warm. The internal temperature sits somewhere around 52 degrees Celsius. The texture is soft and yielding, with a little resistance from the crust but almost none from the inside. The juices run red, which some people mistake for blood. It's actually a protein called myoglobin mixed with water. Rare is popular among people who prioritize tenderness and the natural flavor of high-quality beef. A good cut cooked rare can be remarkable, especially with something like a ribeye or a tenderloin, medium rare. This is widely considered the sweet spot by chefs and serious steak eaters alike. The center is warm, pink, and soft, with just enough heat to relax the muscle fibers without pushing out too much moisture. Internal temperature lands around 57 degrees Celsius. The fat has started to melt and baste the meat from within, which adds richness to every bite. The texture has more structure than rare but still feels tender. Most professional recommendations for cuts like ribeye, strip loin, and filet mignon point to medium rare as the level where the beef expresses itself most fully. It's not a trend. It's been the standard in French culinary tradition for well over a century. Medium. At medium, the pink fades toward the center, and the meat takes on a more uniform brownish-pink color throughout. Internal temperature is around 63 degrees Celsius. The texture firms up noticeably, and the juices reduce a bit, which means slightly less moisture in each bite. It's a comfortable middle ground for people who want some of the tenderness of a lower doneness without any red color on the plate. Sirloin and flat iron cuts can work well at medium because their natural texture holds it up without becoming too dry. It's probably the most commonly ordered doneness in casual dining settings worldwide, medium well. At this point, the pink is almost entirely gone. A very faint trace might remain at the very center, but most of the steak will be a consistent grayish-brown from edge to edge. Temperature reaches around 68 degrees Celsius, and the muscle fibers have tightened significantly. The meat loses a good portion of its natural moisture, making each bite noticeably drier and chewier than lower doneness levels. The crust and outer edges can become quite firm. Some cuts, particularly tougher ones like flank or skirt steak, become harder to chew at this temperature. Most chefs will cook it to this level without complaint if that's what someone wants, even if they'd privately suggest stopping at medium. Well done. A well-done steak is cooked all the way through to a firm grayish-brown center with no remaining pink. Internal temperature exceeds 74 degrees Celsius. The moisture has largely cooked out, and the texture can range from firm to quite tough depending on the cut. The surface often develops a deep, dark crust that borders on charred. Some people genuinely prefer well done. It's a matter of personal comfort with texture and appearance, not a lack of taste. In some cultures and cuisines, thoroughly cooked beef is the norm, and certain preparations like slow-cooked stews or braised dishes intentionally cook meat well beyond this point to achieve tenderness through a completely different mechanism. As a straightforward grilled or pan-seared steak, well done is the most divisive level of doneness, but it remains a valid and widely chosen preference.